Write this down, please. Create more than you consume. Create and post more content than you consume as a consumer. Be a broadcaster of content more than a consumer of content. That's how you use social media more than social media is using you. Create more than you consume. You should only be consuming for research to repost, for hashtags to pay attention to, or for trends that may be important to your business. Outside of that, resist the urge to become a mouse in their mousetrap. To be a consumer is one thing. To be a producer is another. Use social media more than social media is using you. Create more than you consume. Don't be just a target inside of the marketplace, endlessly scrolling, thinking that you're building your business. You should only be scrolling for research, for content, for trends, but then take that and then use it to produce more content. Understand? If you just focus there, last thing I will give you is value and consistency. Bring value to your audience. They will stay and they'll tell their friends. Be consistent. That builds trust and that builds your brand. Value and consistency. Consistency and value. If you're ever wondering what you should do, think about how you can bring more value to your audience, whether it's through your content or through somebody else's, sharing somebody, reposting somebody, grabbing an article. All you have to do is Google what are the best articles in the world on this topic. And you'll get 1,000 articles that you could post one a day for the next 365 days. What are the best videos that are available on your topic? You can have a different video that you post every single day. What's a photo that represents your topic that's an amazing, epic photo? You can look up photos that represent your topic and post that. But make sure that you're in charge. This is your media channel. It's not Facebook's, and it's not Instagram's, and it's not TikTok's. It's yours. It's your tool to use. Don't let them turn you into a tool. Make sense? You do this, you rule. You control everything. Okay? So do that. Your life will be better. Now, we're going to pivot. You ready to pivot? We're going to pivot into leadership. One of my key areas that I needed to develop in myself was to become a better leader. And to start this, we have a dear friend of mine who's an incredible leader. He has a huge group within his organization. There's over 3,000 people from his organization that are part of this GoPro experience around the world. And he has led in his life and by example. And he's here to teach you how to become a better leader. So to kick off this whole leadership day, afternoon, please welcome to the stage, big GoPro welcome, Mr. Armand Puyol.
Yo sabía que estoy afuera, pero el día en que yo me muera, sé que tendrás que llorar, llorar y llorar, llorar y llorar. How's everybody? ¿Cómo están a toda mi gente? Just for the ones who speak a little bit of Spanish. You know, I got pushed here on to do a little bit of a leadership. And one of the things that you guys are going to understand is that leadership is something that I learned basically the hard way because I did it the wrong way first, and I was successful. Then I did it the right way, and that was very successful. So here's the thing. Leadership is a lot, my friends, it's a lot like having children. And you have to teach, mentor, talk, and teach everybody everything that they need. So One thing that happened, so a lot of you know, in my story, I grew up with a single mom. How many single moms out there? Raise your hands. A lot of single moms I can see, a lot of single moms. Well, my mom struggled, I bet like most of you have. My mom struggled to feed us, to pay the rent. We lived apartment to apartment because what ended up happening is that I guess we paid too much rent, so they keep moving us. And we kept looking for something else. But that was my drive. You know, it got to the point that I got tired of moving from home to home, to home, to home, to home, to home, that I said, I got to do something about it. That's when my entrepreneur spirit started. So one of the things that I did is I got started by selling chocolates, M&Ms, Starbursts, Skittles from the backpack of, going to high school. I was very young. I was making so much money because during that time in California, guess what happened? Candy was illegal in schools. Sugar was illegal. Sodas were illegal. So me, I was selling better than the drug dealers at school. I was selling candy. See? So I started making a lot of money. And I started helping out, and I figured out that business was something that is powerful because I learned that if you learn to sell, you'll never be hungry. If you learn to sell, you will never be looking for where the next meal is coming from. So from that point, one thing that happened was I started getting involved in a lot more different things of business. I finally joined a network marketing company at the age of 16 and a half. I think I shouldn't have at that age, but yet I did. It was a crystal company. And then what we did was I got this big package when I joined. I didn't know what to do with it. Nobody taught me to do home meetings. Nobody taught me to do anything. How many here have joined a business and you didn't know what to do, right? You had to go fish it out yourself. Yeah, I see Sonia raising her hand. I see Robert. I see Ron. I see a lot of people here raising their hands and saying, I struggled with this. And one of the key points is that I struggled so much at the very beginning because not only my age, I said, who's going to come to a home party at a 16-year-old? Or who's going to host a 16-year-old who's going to believe to sell them this product? So I did the next best thing. I went back to my high school. Not that I left, but I went back to the high school the next day. And then I hired all these people, kids, to wear their shirts, their jerseys, and everything else. We went door to door like we were selling chocolate. And when we did that, we ended up I became the top rep from the West Coast in sales for that company. And we did that very quickly. We got promoted, we moved, and one of the things that happened was that I figured out that I was not liked within the leadership when I went to a convention because I told that same story and they looked at me like I was doing something wrong. So that day I left. And luckily outside, I met my first mentor. And that's when we start looking at leadership. That's when we start looking at who is the leader. Because when this man took me on, it's not like he was making a lot of money. Well, he was making a lot of money for me. I mean, he was like 20 grand a month. I was like, what the heck? 20 grand a month for a 17-year-old at that time? A lot of money. And what he did was he was the first person who started doing those little circles and lines and circles and lines and circles and lines, and showing me all that stuff that you guys see in a napkin presentation now. And when that happened, he opened my eyes. He says, you're doing everything right. You are selling. You're going out there. You're looking for customers. You're looking for everything. The only thing that you're missing is residual income. If you learn to pick up residual income, you will never, ever, ever look for anything again. So that day, I followed this gentleman. I became his shadow. I carried his bags. I went everywhere he went. I picked up, at that time there was no PowerPoints or projectors. There was a flip chart, and I was the guy turning the flip chart. So it's like I was the clicker at this time, that basically. But I was learning everything he was saying. And one thing that got me to understand, my friends, is that I noticed that he was doing everything by script. He was saying word verbatim every single event. Every single meeting was word. It was the same joke. I mean, I couldn't even laugh at it no more, but everybody laughed. Everybody loved it. Right, Marge? I can see you. But I can see one of the things that happened with me was this. I ended up doing the same presentation, word verbatim what he did, filled the room, went in, said the same jokes. I even called myself Sean, the same name. I even said I was Armand. I made the mistake because I was so nervous. I even called myself Sean. And guess what happened? I closed the room. I closed the room. At that moment, I understood that if we learn to teach, if we love to teach people to learn to be a leader, things will change. Now, move on a little bit. By the age of 20, I was doing $1 million a year. By the age of 25, I was doing about $5 million a year. And I kept moving on. But I learned something very powerful. That now I wanted to grow, teach, and show people what to do. But I was missing a huge chunk of people. And this big chunk of people was people that they just didn't get it. They just didn't understand. They were asking too many questions. How many of you have people, raise your hand, if you have people that ask the same question over and over and over and over and over again? See, I used to get bothered by that. And I used to get angry. I would say, don't you get it? Don't you understand? Don't you understand what I'm telling you? I already told you this 10 times. Sometimes I wouldn't even pick up the phone no more for these people, right? You guys get those people? See, a little bit forward, I had an issue where I was diagnosed with cancer phase 4. And when I was diagnosed with cancer phase 4, they told me I only had 6 months to live. And this was in February of 2010, my friends. Now, the most powerful part about this is that since I had 6 months more to live, I had to build a residual income. I had to build enough power for my leadership to stay before after I leave, make sure that they have enough of everything. So at this point, I was trying to teach everybody to do everything. But I was only making 7 figures at that time. At that point, my friends, one thing happened that is very tremendous. I started changing my ways of teaching people. I started teaching the people that they just wanted to sell. I just started teaching the people that just wanted to move. They just teaching the people who just needed to pay the rent. I just started teaching people who were hungry to learn what they were going to do. How many of you are hungry to learn? Say, give me a high five, everybody. And one thing that I did, I understood that by teaching these people on and on and on again what we're doing, and now these people, I found out and I figured out. Do you remember those people that repetitive said, I want to learn, we kept shutting them off? I learned that those became my best leaders. Because once I taught them, they wanted to learn. They wanted to learn so bad, they kept asking because they wanted to get it correct. And once they got it correct, guess what happened? They became the best mentors, the best coaches for the team. They became the people who had the right information. They became the ones who actually had the heart that they wanted to help the other little guys grow. And when that started happening, between those 6 months that I was thinking I was going to pass away, guess what happened? I started growing. And from a brand new company that we started growing at that point, we moved it. By the time 2015 came around, I was doing 8 figures a year. But all that happened, and I noticed the big difference. I was doing a lot of volume, talking just to leaders. The volume. Talking and teaching the people that just wanted to learn. And one of the things as a leader, you have to decide who you're going to teach, who you're going to work, who you're going to do. Don't avoid anybody. One of my biggest leaders came in one day, and he came in at one of my meetings, and he was one of my friends from high school. And he was still wearing the ripped shirt, the ripped jeans. He still looked like a bum. Didn't look like he showered. You know, it was one of those guys that, you know, you guys, we all have friends like that, right? And then he came in the room, but I knew that guy so well. I knew him, like, to my heart so well that he came in and he was like, the first time, I actually told somebody, don't sign up. Don't sign up. I don't want to take on this issue of you having a problem, then your mom calling my mom and everything else, right? I don't want that issue. But at the end, he goes like, I want to join. I was like, no, don't do it. I want to join. No, don't do it. Because what I learned that day. That day, he joined. Nowadays, he's wearing suits. He's driving a Ferrari. He's never looked back, and he's never looked the same ever again. This industry is one that can help anybody who wants to succeed. And every single one of you who are here at this moment, you have to understand one thing. That the opportunity that you have today is a blessing. If you feel you are in the shadow, if you feel you are a person that is getting darkness only, you're not getting any light, I suggest you start facing the sun. Because then the shadows will always be behind you. Then the darkness will always be behind you. Everything that you're looking for will always be behind you. If you stop looking at the issues that are in your life and start looking at the possibilities that are within your life, in your reach, you can do bigger things than you can imagine. Now, my friends, one thing that you have to understand is that the only way I succeeded from the time I was 16 to the time I was 40 is basically never stopping, never stopping, never stopping, never stopping, never stopping. One of my big mentors one time said to me, he said, Armand, this industry is so simple that people forget and don't understand because they're trying to make it difficult on themselves. And one of the things that happens is this. My mentor said, the moment you look and you see yourself in this industry, you have to notice that all you got to do is you got to work. Then 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 you got to work. You got to work. You got to keep looking at front. You got to work. You got to work. You got to work. And then you get paid. At this point, it's pretty powerful because now you tasted the check. You know it's real. You know it's right. The company, whatever you're doing, you know it's like, wow, it's happening. And all of a sudden, you got to work. You got to work. You got to work. You got to work. And then you get paid. You go, oh my goodness, I got paid a little bit sooner. I got paid a little bit quicker. And all of a sudden, you got to work. You got to work. Then you got paid. You go like, oh my goodness, I got paid even better. And I worked a little bit less because my group is growing. So all of a sudden is, you got to work, you work, got paid. You go like, oh my goodness, this is great. Look at all my people making money too. All of a sudden you got to work, you got paid. Then you got paid, then you get 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 paid. Now, I understand, and here's the key, that a lot of you didn't understand what I just said. So I got to speak in the lingo of the majority here, the women. Every single time you get into the business and you work, you work, you work, you work, you work, you work, and you go shopping. Right? You guys got it? So then you work, you go shopping. Then you go work, shopping. Then work, shopping. And then all of a sudden you go shopping. Who says I? Say I. Phenomenal, my friends. So a lot of you who are here, I want to understand one thing. Leadership is teaching. Leadership is showing. Leadership is making sure that everybody in your organization learns what you learn. If you don't know it, send the person to an upline. Let them learn. Send them to an event. just like this one. Send them to an event just like your convention. Send them to an event like a Super Saturday. Send them to an event where they can start learning, because what's going to start happening is you're going to start shopping. You guys get it? Give me a high five if you got it. Every single time you get an opportunity of someone letting you know, I want to do this, it's your opportunity in your business to teach them everything you know. See, the difference between a job and network marketing is if you teach them everything you do in your job, you may lose your job to that person. In network marketing, if you teach them everything you know, they become duplicates of you, and your income will grow in such a powerful form. Remember, the money's in the follow-up, but your wealth will always be in retention. You'll always be in sorting. Will always be in teaching. Will always be creating leadership from here on into the future. If you guys are going to create leaders, say aye. Every single one of you who are here today are lucky. I see Samantha. I see Michael. I see Amy. I see Janice. I see Paola. I see Melissa. I see Cindy. You know, I see all these people here right now with a hunger to start, with a hunger to do something. And to me, this is so awesome because I'm standing here in between these panels of just power. And what I mean by power is not the power within the electricity that's running through this arena here. The power is you, every single one of you who are here. The power is every single one of you and the change you guys can happen and you guys can make within your families, within your lives. See, my life started being hungry. My life started wondering if I was going to have a home to sleep. My life started sleeping in cars with my mom. And thanks to that, we were able to buy her a home, buy us a home, change our lives, create wealth, create just a life that people can only dream of. And all that takes is belief. All that takes is leadership. All that takes is you to decide today that you are going to do it. To decide today that you will become that person that will change the destiny of your family forever. And I'm telling you right now, I've seen so many people change. In my business, we have over 37-figure earners just in the last year alone. And what happens is that there's no magic there. It's only teaching and teaching you and teaching your people and teaching their people and teaching their people to repeat the same thing. So thank you very much for here. Muchas gracias a todos los que están aquí, mis latinos. Los quiero, los amo. Aquí estamos para todos. Va. Thank you. Pero el día en que yo me muera, sé que tendrás que llorar. Llorar y llorar. Llorar y llorar.